Hello everyone. In the previous sessions, we had looked at Java arrays, one-dimensional array, two-dimensional array. We have seen like what is the advantage of arrays and how to declare, how to initialize, how to access the values, how to print the arrays using loops, Java loops using for loop, and how the internal representation is for arrays, how the memory is allocated. So those things we have covered in the previous sessions. In this session, we will just focus on the example programs. Okay. So if you are not, if you did not go through the previous videos, please go through. Then only you can understand this. Okay. Let's jump into the IDE. Okay. So let's create one more class kind of. Array programs. Okay. So, okay, or else I'll just rename this class. Okay. I'll, I'm renaming it to, so first program is sum of values in an array. Okay. So it can't start with numbers. So that's okay. Okay. I think class cannot start with a number. Okay. Finish this. Okay. For example, yeah, we are going to write the first program, that is sum of values in an array, in a one-dimensional array, for example. Okay. So we know how to declare an array. We have to use data type, and then this is array notation, open and close brackets, square brackets, and then suppose okay, array 1, for example. And here, okay, we will directly give values. This is one way of declaring. Okay, well, let's give 5, 6, 2, 3, 7, 9. Okay. So we want to print. Okay, we want to sum all the elements or all the values in an array. So firstly, we want to access each element, and then we have to calculate the sum. So firstly, how to iterate an array, how to access or print the values of an array. So we know array index starts from 0, and then the condition should end at length. So it should iterate these many times, and then every time the index increases by 1. Okay, now generally if you write, so we say array of how to access. So if you say this will print. We know this. Okay, we have to run this as a Java application. Okay, now it is printing the values. Now what we want to do, this we know, like we know how to declare an array, how to assign values, and then how to access an array based on the index. And this is the short program. Like now what we want to calculate is sum. So sum is also will be integer. So we are taking a variable to keep the sum of the values. So since we declared outside the for loop, so the scope is like it will still be there even inside of the for loop also, that is accessible. So now what we are doing, we are okay. What we do sum plus we are doing arithmetic operator. We are adding every time the same value. When you do any arithmetic operator, you have to assign the result to some another variable. Otherwise, it will. So what we are doing the sum and then assigning the value back to the sum. We are updating the sum value. So okay, now sum equal to okay. Yeah, if you see sum is 32. 5 plus 6, 11. 11 plus 5, 16. 16, 23. 23, 9, 32. So that is the sum. And if you do traditional way, like without using for loop, you have to do like here of array 0 plus array of 1. Okay. So like this you have to here. So like this you have to do okay sum equal to so by default sum equal to 0. Then so like this you have to do and then so you have to repeat the same step. You have to repeat the same step for all the elements. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So like that you have to do. So here we know this is the step, this is repeating every time. So that's why we go for loop and how many times this should execute that. In this case, it is the length of the array. We want to iterate all. We should not do equal to because array index starts from 0. That's why if you want to less than or equal to, then you have to put -1. So then only the array length, like the accessing will work fine. So this is the program for sum of all the elements. Okay. Okay. So that we have seen. You can also do instead of addition, you can do multiplication also. So there are different things you can perform. So for this, to get some idea, so we are doing sum of all the elements. You can do multiplication of all the elements. So it will give. So it will return yeah, 0 because sum is 0. We are multiplying. Okay. Okay. So we are multiplying 0 with 0. So that is why it is always 0. So the initial value should not be 0. It should be 1 because it is a multiplication. 0 into 5 means 0. 0 like finally 0. Again 0 multiplied by 6 it will be 0. So that's why it is 0. Okay. So when we do something, so when something is not working, so you have to understand. And there is something like a debug point. Okay, breakpoint we can put and we can debug. So there is something called debug option. So when you say debug, so it will come debug mode. So you can inspect the values also here. This is a very good way to analyze the program, even for loop also how it is executing. So for example, it is first I equal to 0, okay, and then sum it is calculated. So 1 in multiplied by 5, that is For even more readability, we can instead of using directly the value, we can assign it to one more variable so that you can see how that is happening. Okay, now I will become 1. Okay, I had increased and then it checked the condition. Condition is true, so it came down. So like this, it will execute, and you can see the output also one by one it is printing. So that is how you can debug the program also. If you want to understand the flow of the program, you can do like that. Okay, yeah, that is okay. So next program is sum of values in an two-dimensional array. So this is a 1D array. So let's copy this. Okay, I'm just pasting again, and I'm renaming 2D array. Okay, okay. Let's go here. So here we are doing two-dimensional array. So it will be two dimensions, rows and columns. And then here we have to say, suppose we want two rows and yeah, maybe two rows, two columns, for example. For example, like this. So we are declaring 2 by 2 matrix. Okay, 2 by 2 matrix, 2D matrix with a 2 by 2 size, like two rows and two columns. So if you see something like this, so you can understand there are two rows, two columns. And same thing you can represent using a table also. So in Excel, how uh, we have a table. So if it is 2D array, so it will be like this. And arrays index starts from 0. Okay. So like this, a 2D array will represent, and 5, 5, 6, 6. So that is what we are declared. So same thing, it will represent in the like internally, it will map like this. And we are referring into one variable. So array 2D. Okay. For example, array 2D. Okay. For example. So now what we want to do, we want to do the sum same similar way. So here we have to put row and a column. So again, for each element, like first element will be 0 0, second element will be 0 1, third element 1 0 1 1. So that way we have to do same here. Suppose okay, 0 0 0 1, then 1 0. In this case, we are taking 2 by 2 matrix. We can take 3 by like 3 rows, 3 columns, like 2 rows, 5 columns. Okay, for example, 2 rows, 3 columns we will take. Okay, 2 by 3 matrix. Okay, so and also the values may not be integers. You can have strings or like characters, double values, floating values. So based on the requirement, we can do for now for understanding. We are doing integers. Okay, so one. So two columns. That's why we this column value 0 1 0 1. Here we have to repeat same for third row also. Okay, so third row will be 2, index 2. Okay, so now we know already how to write, how to access code for a, 2D array. So we have to use two for loops, one for rows, one for columns. So 0. You can refer to my previous session so that you will understand how we are writing this. So okay, last session this is the column syntax error. So you can see we have to give semicolon, then only it will accept. So each thing is differentiated with semicolon. Okay, now we will simply print the values for now. We will do some later. So what we want to do, how we can access using a row and column. Okay, let's just run this. Okay, we have to run this as a Java application. So you can see, forget about multiplication here. Okay, okay, forget about yeah, we will come to that. So for now, you can see it is printing 556677. And if you want to format properly, you can do so after for each column value, like for each row, it will print all the values in that row using column index. And for each value, we are putting a space. And after each row, we want to put a new line. So this is a new line character. If you say slash n, the Java JVM or a compiler will understand this is a new line and it will put extra line without any values. So let's say, so you can see it is printing each row and then each row of the values. So you can, yeah, we will put a debug point here. Okay, let's run this. You can understand. So first it came inside, I is 0. Forget about sum. I is 0. Then I went inside and you can see j is also 0. Now it is printing one value, that is ij, that is a 0 0 0. The value is 5 0 0. Now still we this inner for loop only it is currently running. So let's go inside. So here if you see j got incremented, j is 1, I is still 0 because we are still running block of code of the first for loop. So that's why I is still 0, j is 1. Now, yeah, it printed a second value. Now you can see, okay, j will become 2, okay, and then j becomes 2, and array length is also, I mean, I have, this is one particular row, that length is also 2, number of columns is 2. So that's why it will fail. 2 less than 2, that will be false. So that's why it will not execute. It will go here. So let's step go. So it came outside uh, because yeah, this condition failed. And also you see there is no j variable because this is the scope of this variable is this block only. Outside it is not known to outside. Okay. So yeah, now we will. So now this completed. One iteration is completed. I will increase now. If you see, I is increased, j will still be 0 because initialized as 0. Again, it is fresh logic. It will execute. Only parameter change is I. So I is 1, j is 0. So that means I is 1 means that is the first record, second record, and then second row j is 0. So we were taking this value. So when you access 1 0, 1 0 means 6. So that is what it will print now. Yeah. So that is how So it will execute the program. And here if you see I is 2 now. So I is 2, it will until this point. Now I becomes 3 because it will increment because this for loop is done. So 3 and length is also 3 because 3 rows. When you say like this, it will give the rows length, okay, row length, and this will give the column length. So that's why, yeah, it will break because I becomes 3. So 3 less than 3, it will fail. I mean, yeah, it will fail in the sense, yeah, it is false. So for loop will end. It will not go inside. It will just move to next statement in the main method. So that is sum. Okay, so that is how the program executes the flow. You can try to understand using pen and paper, like you try to understand how this executes, how the value variables changes and all. So now what we do, we will same sum equal to sum plus sum. We will initialize with 0 because it is a summation. So 0 plus something is something. So no issue if you put 0. If you put 1, that is incorrect because we are adding one more value. So we will use same. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So this is correct. So 10, 12, 22, 22 or 14, 36. Yeah. This is how this program. So next we want to print diagonal elements in the 2D array. When you want to like print diagonal values, it should be rows and columns should be equal. Then only you can print diagonal elements. So okay, for example, okay. So what is diagonal here? So row and column index should be same 0 0 and 1 1. So other two values we don't want to print. Okay. So let's say we will take this 2D only. Okay. So we want to rename diagonal values in 2D array. Okay. Okay. So forget about this sum. Okay, we are printing diagonal values. Okay. So what we are trying to print, like, okay, let's say if you print this, it will print all the values. But we don't want to print all the values. We want to print, yeah, diagonal values. Okay. So how we want to print? We want to check a condition. The condition is okay. So okay. So these two is the diagonal. Okay, it should be square matrix. Square matrix means rows and columns should be same. So mainly, like in general, if you want to print diagonal values, it should be a square matrix so that it is identical. Like it's easy. So here you can see how to get this value using 0 0. How to get this 1 1. So there is a pattern you can consider. So the pattern here is if you say this is row index, column index. So the pattern here is row and column indexes should be same. Then only it it is definitely the diagonal value. So that's why what we do. So this is called diagonal, and now what we do if we will print only if here I means row index. equal to say. Yeah, we are using condition. So this statement should execute only when it matches the condition. So the condition here is, or it should be like the row index and column index should be same in a matrix or two-dimensional array. This is the row index, column index. So if both are same, then only we print the value. Otherwise, we don't print. So for 0 and 1, it is not matching. So that's why it will not print this. So now if you run, it will print 5 and 6. You can see 5 and 6. If you want to like format it again, like if you find something else, just print a space just for more representation, like easy to understand. So you can see diagonally 5 and 6. Okay, what we can do, we will print first all the elements. First we will print all the array. Okay, we don't put any condition here. We will print first all the values. We want to put one more space so that it will not be like immediately after. So we want to output even more understanding array values. Okay. Okay, and then let's say run this. So you can see the diagonal in this case is, it is always square. So in this case, we considered as it is only possible diagonal is 5 and 6 if you start from here. So that's why it is just printing. Suppose if you put 3 by 3. So 3 by 3 matrix. So since we did not hard code the length here, like row length, column length, it is no need to change the values. We are deriving from the variable. So you can see 5, 6, 7 is the diagonal value. So that is the program for diagonal elements. Okay, maybe in the next session we will try matrix addition and multiplication. Okay, so if you do these programs also, if you understand, then you will understand how we can process the array and how we can put conditions in the array. So okay, we will cover these two programs in the next session.